All right, good morning, everybody. So let's talk about fake martial arts. Now, I'm not really gonna be putting clips of actual fake martial arts because I think the ones already on YouTube are the same ones that you keep seeing over and over again. More than anything, just gonna talk about fake martial arts. If anything, why there are fake martial arts and why is it that people actually fall for actually learning from fake martial arts or being a part of it. So the question, title of the video today is, "Are you practicing a fake martial art?" Now, obviously, we don't want to be scammed. We don't want to be in a situation where we're learning something that doesn't work. I think that goes for anything, not just martial arts. So let's get down to it. First, let's talk about what it means to be a real martial art. And there's a lot of misconceptions about this. There's a lot of back and forth where, let's just say, like an MMA fighter, a UFC fighter, a full contact fighter, normally they throw around calling a traditional martial art a fake martial art, where in reality, traditional martial arts are the basis of all fighting styles. And then there are some traditional martial artists that will go and say that MMA is a fake martial art because they don't really have a background style where they came from. Regardless, let's define what it means for it to be a fake martial art. And I'll be throwing around a lot of ideas, so stick around for this video because I'm going to give insight on a lot of things, a lot of fighting styles, a lot of fighting concepts, and as well as fighting styles that you didn't even know existed or didn't even know what to label. So let's get started. What does it mean for a real martial arts style to be considered a real martial art? Now, I'm gonna just pick on a few martial art styles. For example, capoeira. Okay, so capoeira is a Brazilian martial art that is disguised as dancing. So yes, if now in today's time you hear somebody say, "Oh well, you know what, capoeira is a fake martial art. It's mainly used to be fancy for dancing. It's mainly used to do acrobatic moves." That's true and false. False saying that it's a fake martial art or that it's just used to be fancy. That's false. The truth is that yes, it is dancing, and there's a reason behind that. You got to understand that a lot of these martial arts were created because of their situation, because of their times that we're living in. From capoeira, again, I don't know the full history of capoeira, but I do know the general history of it is that when the city, the towns were being controlled by the government, by the soldiers, these people wanted to develop a fighting style that they can use to defend themselves. But at the same time, if the soldiers and the government knew that the city was attempting to learn a fighting style to defend themselves or to use against the soldiers, most likely they would have been executed or put in prison or punished, So these individuals who created capoeira had to do it in secret. So what did they do? They incorporated the lethal swinging movements of their legs and punches in a fighting style. Like they did incorporate kicks, they did incorporate punches, but they did it with a fast velocity in their dancing movements. So there we go. Just park here for now. So nowadays, since people do not practice capoeira with the same lethal intent to defend themselves or to use against these oppressors, you see more of the glamorous aspect of it. You see the movements, you see the style, you see the actual dance of it. So basically, Nowadays, it looks like it's something that's just made to be a show, but not really. I mean, these movements are lethal. Um, they can knock you out. I mean, it's like somebody swinging a hook punch, or a Muay Thai roundhouse. It's just it's got the same level of power. It's just generated differently. So most traditional martial arts were made due to their situation. So if you see Wing Chun, I mean, we know Wing Chun is a real martial art, but it could be argued that it's not as effective as something where it carries more power, only because Wing Chun was created to fit a female fighter, that is not able to generate the same power as a male fighter. So the movements are more evasive. They're more using the energy of your opponent against them to create that impact. You know, Again, there's more complexity to Wing Chun. I practice Wing Chun myself, but yeah, a lot of the movements is to not be in the way and attack the vital points. So many martial arts back then that look very weird, or that might seem like, why was this even created? It was created for its time. It was created for the opponents that they were facing during that era. So now we move on to fake martial arts. So a lot of these martial arts were kind of kept hidden, kept secret, specifically for their own cultures, their own race, their own families. I mean, you hear about ninjutsu. A lot of those concepts died with their families. You know, a lot of the ninja names, shinobi names, were linked to the practitioner, and they usually just pass it down to themselves. Believe it or not, ninjutsu, taijutsu, the art of the shinobi, it's not as glamorous as you think. You know, it's very basic, very simple espionage and survival skills. It's really all it is. I mean, if you want to compare it to anybody, compare it to our Navy SEALs, to our Green Berets, to our Special Forces. Same concept. It's just that the ninjutsu was a type of military sector of its time, which nowadays, if you see somebody claiming that they know ninjutsu or taijutsu, they're doing all these hand signs, all these jutsus, which pretty much came from India, more of a cleansing yoga thing. You'll realize that it's a real martial art. It's just, it's not used the way you think. So there are a lot of real martial arts out there. It's just that since they're not used to its complexity anymore, to its intensity, you're not going to see its full usage. I mean, the style I practice myself is Kung Fu. Kung Fu has been ridiculed through a lot of these fake martial art videos. And I don't blame the style, I blame the practitioner. Kung Fu is very is very complicated. It's very for you to attack to its full intensity, to generate the power that Kung Fu needs you to generate, or to be evasive, where you maneuver around your opponent's strength, requires a lot of practice, a lot of training, a lot of fighting, honestly. So nowadays you don't see a lot of that intensity in the fighter. So if you see a Kung Fu fighter fight against a fighter that has it more simplified, like a boxer, or somebody who practices jiu-jitsu, or somebody who practices even like Kyokushin karate, if the Kung Fu practitioner does not practice with the same intensity, they are going to lose the bout. I mean, yeah, you could have a really great Kung Fu martial artist really display the art, the movements, but they ridicule the art because a practitioner did not take the time to practice it for fighting. Again, Kung Fu is not a fake martial art. We know that. We know Kung Fu is linked to a lot of martial arts we train today, but all they did was simplify it. I mean, Bruce Lee did Kung Fu, Wing Chun. He did a version of Shoi Li Fut. So, he did take a lot of concepts from boxing, from wrestling, from everything, and incorporated the effectiveness of the style and put it into his Tao of Jeet Kune Do. So again, we're at 10 minutes. Speaking about fake martial arts, I did a short earlier today about fake martial arts. It all comes down to the main reason why anybody else would want to scam you. And it has to do for fame, has to do for publicity, has to do for money. Mainly it's for money. Since back then, during the 1960s, 1970s, a lot of people were not aware of what martial arts really was because it was still considered a best kept secret. I mean, even Bruce Lee was trying to push the teachings to here in the United States so that we can all know the concepts of martial arts. Pretty much a lot of these people that did train martial arts that would incorporate their own style, their own ideas of what they wanted to teach. It wasn't something that came from tradition. It wasn't something that came from that had a strong background. It was basically they were developing their own fighting concepts that they said were ridiculously effective and would work every single time. Now, a lot of these fake martial artists were actual martial artists, but they really put their own spin to it. They claimed the martial arts would do things that just wouldn't do. The best way I could compare it to would be they were trying to say that they had they would have mystical powers to their martial art. They would be able to manifest this mysticism of energy and power and chi. Now, all those are real. I mean, chi is a real thing. It's just that it's inside you. You can manipulate it, but it pretty much, at its strongest level, it's manipulated inside of you. It's not really, I mean, yoga uses chi and chakras. You watch Naruto. You watch that anime, and they talk about unleashing their chakras and this immense level of power. Yeah, that's not really a thing when it comes to fighting. I mean, yeah, you take yoga, you unleash your chakras. All that's gonna happen is you're gonna have like a pretty good feeling day. You'll probably feel more energized. But if anything, that's as far as to what I know it's gonna go to. It's not, you're not gonna break out the 8th chakra or of death, and you're gonna be the strongest person on the earth. Yeah, it's not gonna happen. So a lot of these fake martial artists back then claimed that their martial art did something that other martial arts didn't. But the best way to divide what a real martial art is it's either its effectiveness to its presentation, to its movements, basically showing what the martial art does in a presentation is just showing the movements in a graceful manner, how the body can be manipulated to do those movements. That is real martial art. It's just not implemented into a fighting aspect yet. And then you have the other side of martial arts, which is the combat version of martial arts. The combat version is the one where you literally get the beautiful martial art movements and you put them down and dirty to the fighting aspect of it. You put it to the point where you're using it for combat. You train with somebody else to execute the movements in a fighting manner to build that